Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for another session during our International Education Week celebration. Today, we have Dr. Moreno, who will present on his experience in building and sustaining partnerships abroad, specifically with the UG University in South Korea. Dr. Moreno is an associate professor at San Antonio College, where he has taught in the mortuary science department for 10 years. He has also been the lead faculty for the South Korea program, study abroad program for the last 5 years. Joining us also is Dr. Lee from Luigi University, who will be in the conversation with Dr. Moreno, which I will let Dr. Moreno introduce her.
Okay. I have Dr. Lee. I thank her for participating with us because the time difference is like tremendous. Over there is like pretty much 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. So thank you for waking up early and for being with us. She's a former student at San Antonio College. She obtained her master here in business administration in San Antonio. And then she went back to Korea where she completed her PhD. Later, after working at the university, then she moved to the mortuary science program at ULG University. But I have a slide for her to introduce herself. We're having problems with her microphone right now, so we will let her try again, and then we see if I need to continue with the rest of the conversation. Okay. Dr. Lee, are you okay with it? You're on mute, but let me just. Okay. Let me share the screen right now so we can begin this. So you're going to see me pretty much in the conversation.
Do you have access?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Can you hear better?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to talk about how we, in the mortuary science program, how we developed the partnership with ULG University. It began years ago with a former student and the chair of the department at that time. And it has been evolving. But this is pretty much what we're going to be talking about. We did a little bit about the introduction, then we're going to talk about who we are here in San Antonio as far as the mortuary science, why UNGI University and why South Korea, the types of academic partnerships that we have, the accreditation for us here in San Antonio and for them in South Korea, and then how we manage and monitor the relationship that we have. And finally, we're going to cover the review and the renewal or termination of the MOU in case that you develop something. Just to continue, this is Dr. Lee. Once again, she is a professor at ULG University from the mortuary science department over there. She's a licensed funeral director and embalmer in Texas. So she kept her license and she continues with her education to be able to renew her license every 2 years. This is her academic background. She recently obtained a PhD in business service science management, an MBA in business administration, a BAS in business administration as well. And we can call her a proud graduate of our program at San Antonio College. So in reference to me, I've been in the mortuary science program for the past 15 years. I am the faculty, the lead faculty member for the South Korea study abroad. And I'm teaching over there the psychology of death and dying right now for our students. I am also licensed funeral director, embalmer, and a grief therapist. My background, a PhD in adult professional and community education, a master's in community counseling, a bachelor's in psychology, and I'm also a graduate of San Antonio College in the mortuary science program. So we're at home. So the mortuary science program was established in 1961, and we are proud to say that this is the first college-based funeral service education in Texas. The other institutions are private. So San Antonio College was the first, and we have been able to assist other mortuary science programs in Texas, one in Amarillo and one in East Texas. So they were based following the same format that we have here in San Antonio. We are accredited. We have been accredited since we started the American Board of Funeral Service Education, and we're members of the University Mortuary Science Education Association, UMSIA. And the unique thing about San Antonio College from all the 5 programs in Texas is that we are also a licensed establishment. So it's not a secret that we are a funeral home. So we are one of the few, and I think it's only 5, one in the process of mortuary science programs that are also licensed as a funeral home. So right now we're not open to the public, but we are in plans of doing that as well. That will be kind of, we wish to.
Hada was talking about International Program Week.
I'm sorry? I can hear you. Okay. If you can connect again and ask me the question, I will be happy to answer. Okay. These are the programs that we offer right now. And it's an associate and a certificate. These are some of the pictures that we have right now for how we conduct classes and how we interact with our students as well. In reference to ULGI, the ULGI University is also, it was established also in the 60s. They are a private healthcare and medical research university. They are the same, they have the same format of the mortuary science program, but the difference between us and them is that they offer a bachelor's and we offer an associate's. This is one of the unique things that we have, and that's why we try to establish an international relationship with them, because we had plans. And in the beginning, they wanted to kind of connect with us, and we also wanted to have the international relationship. They have 3 campuses, and Sungyeong, Taeyeon, and Uljungbu. And these are the main careers that they offer right now. And as you can see and I just wanted to show you, just to give you a little bit of brief history of why the relationship with this particular university, especially if they're a university and we're a community college. And this mainly because of this. They have a bachelor's of science in mortuary science. Again, this is the relationship that we have incorporates both cultures. And one of the main things that we wanted for our students is to explore other cultures, because here in the United States, we serve different types of families. In San Antonio, we have a big Korean community, and we wanted to have our students exposed to the culture. And even though right now the Korean community has adapted to the funeral customs here, we are incorporating their customs as well. We don't want to impose the funeral rules and regulations that we have, but we also incorporate their customs. As far as the types of partnerships that you can also develop, this is pretty much a history of what we have done with ULGI. At the beginning, years ago, when I first started in 2005, we were doing what we call the split side program. It was one award, meaning the bachelor's degree in mortuary science from ULGI. But the inconvenience that they had is that they could not have access to dead human bodies. And it was for practice. They had, so the student had to go through the entire bachelor's without even seeing a dead body until they graduate, and then they went to work at the funeral home. So when they started the relationship with us, they were their students. They would bring them over here for them to have access to our human cadavers. We have human cadavers there on campus, and we use them for the anatomy lab. We also had, or we still have, relationship with local funeral homes, and we send our students to participate there locally. So that's what they wanted, and that's how we began this relationship. The main classes and everything else was over there, and then they wanted to come over here just for labs. Later, it became expensive for the students to come for lecture and for the lab. So one of the things that they did is they wanted for us, faculty members here in San Antonio, to go and travel to South Korea, teach the lecture part over there, and then come back to the United States with the Korean students and then teach the lab here. So that was the split side program. We worked like that maybe for 5 years, and then decided that it would be a good idea to have a memorandum of understanding for both institutions. And that was just our statement to indicate that we wanted to work together for Alamo colleges and also for ULGI University, with the potential that we wanted to increase and improve this plan. Later on, after working under that memorandum of agreement, we decided to have like a double degree and just to give it a try for students to study in South Korea for 2 years and then come to San Antonio and study here the last 2 years. However, they will receive credit over there with the bachelor's, and they will receive credit over here with the possibility to become licensed funeral directors and embalmers in Texas. We try, but because of the expense and some students were not willing, or their parents were not willing to send the students over here, but it hasn't worked as well. So we're still kind of in limbo right now with this. We had in the past 5 years, we have, let's see, 3 students that wanted to come and do it. Out of those 3, 1 graduated, 1 still with us, and the third one came, but stayed here probably for maybe less than a week. And she could not adapt to the life in the United States. So that was one of the inconveniences that we encountered in trying to expand this memorandum of understanding to a double degree. This hasn't worked for the students because it creates an additional expense. Another thing that we decided to do is like, okay, what if the students pay local fees? What if the students from ULGI pay ULGI University, and the students from San Antonio will pay San Antonio fees? That way, the expenses is still the same. And we were going to try that, but unfortunately, with all of this situation of the pandemic, we haven't been able to incorporate that plan, but we are in the process of doing it. So the other plan that we had was the student exchange and a study abroad. That's something that has worked for us. Like Maria mentioned, we have been traveling The first time that I went there, I think I traveled with 5 students. And every year that we have continued with this plan, more students have added to the list and wanted to go. Korea had not been a popular site to go for study abroad. Every time that we mention study abroad, students think Italy or France, Spain, and pretty much Europe, but hardly ever they want to go to a country in Asia. And I think the only one that has become famous has been Japan, and Japan is very popular. In fact, I think Japan always has like 20 or more students. But that's what we have been doing. We began with just bringing exchanging students back and forth, then the memorandum, the double degree, and the student exchange. Do you have any questions at this time about this history that I was telling you? This is the type of academic partnership that we develop, and it has worked for us. I'm sure that if you find a partner that you can work with, probably you can follow this, and the international office will help you. You will never be alone in trying to do something like this. Okay, let me continue this. These are some of the pictures where I can show you the incorporation of our students and the students at ULGI. We don't do this the entire time that we're over there in South Korea, because we want, number one, we do want the interaction, but we don't want to take students from an American classroom into a Korean classroom, which is the experience is not going to be the same. So we pretty much go around the city, and we can have class sometimes at a park, at a restaurant, even in the living room of the place where we normally stay. And then we go and we use the city as our lab. So we have class in the morning, and then afternoon, we go and explore the city and relate everything that we cover in class to the sites that we're visiting. These are some of the students here. And then we have the accreditation partnership. This is one of the difficulties that we had, or that we have had during our partnership. And the reason for that is because, as I mentioned in the beginning, we are accredited by the American Board of Funeral Service Education. And as you can see in the name, that's the American Board. So we cover everything that we do here in the United States. So because we need to be in compliance with them to keep our accreditation, it has been difficult to modify the curriculum to adapt something from Korea. So we have not been able to do that. And of course, Korea is not going to take 100% American Board curriculum because it does not satisfy the needs of their country. So that's one of the inconveniences that we have encountered with this partnership. We also send our students to take the National Board exam through the International Conference of Funeral Service Examining Boards. In order for our students to become licensed and to be able to practice, they need to pass the National Board exam. And in South Korea, they don't have this type of exam. They don't use it. Even though this conference is international, it's pretty much focused on the curriculum provided by the American Board. So that's another inconvenience that we've been having. And then the Texas Funeral Service Commission licensed our students to practice in Texas, but as an international student, they have to have a special permission to become licensed in the state. So, but they do, just like Dr. Lee is licensed to practice in Texas, and she kept her license, so she had a special permission to become licensed because she was part of an accredited program. On the other side, at ULGI University, they have to be in compliance with the South Korean mortuary rules and regulations, something similar to what the rules that we have here, but from Korea. They also work with the Korean health personnel and the licensing examining institute. That's like the Texas Funeral Service Commission for us. And over there, they don't necessarily have to take an exam. Whenever they graduate and they are successful in their graduation, they become licensed upon graduation. So that's the advantage that they have. So it doesn't necessarily fit like our academic degree versus theirs. So we're trying to find something that in which we match, so we can continue to do it. If we can only do the exchange of students on a temporary basis, or just like I mentioned, there's students to come over here and practice and get hands-on experience. So when they go back, they can do it. So that's something that we can explore. And this has been pretty much a work in progress. We haven't stopped pretty much working on it. Every time that we visit each other, we come up with ideas. We're always thinking about how to renew, how to implement new things so we can help our students in both countries. One of the main things in South Korea is that they teach their students how to dress the body according to the traditions of the country. Over here in the United States, we teach our students how to dress dead human bodies, but with traditional clothes, or maybe sometimes within the Jewish community, they come and do the dressing. Other faiths also send groups of people to do the dressing. But over here, you see the interaction among students from both countries. So the initial steps to begin a new academic partnership will be for you to find common goals. As mentioned, and we began years ago. Now, the personnel that began this memorandum of agreement or this relationship, even before the memorandum of agreement, the initial steps were to find common goals, common needs. We might need to have more information about them. They might need more information about us. And then determine what type of partnership. Like I mentioned, maybe you can just have the students visiting. At one point, we were handling the visit of the Korean students as a continuing education. So we can give them credit. So whenever they went back to South Korea, they have at least something, a certificate, some type of document indicating that they have visited the United States. They went through a training, and then they go back to be and be able to apply it. They need some type of proof. The next thing is for you to develop a proposal. Okay. It might sound good when we're talking about, but then we need to start thinking about how is it that we're going to accomplish all of these goals. And the main thing is for us to check with the international department, because they also need to check with the legal department in Alamo colleges and determine if that is acceptable and if we are including every single thing that we need to include. And it's very important, and they're super helpful. At least in my case, I wasn't too familiar with all the rules and regulations for the college, not for the college, for the district. And they pretty much walk us step by step. And it does take time. So if you want to develop something, a relationship, it might take probably a whole semester for you to go back and forth until it's okay here. Because then whenever we want the approval, we need to find out who's going to approve what. San Antonio College or Alamo colleges must approve what is it that we're going to do, how we're going to do it. And then the same thing, like in our case, it went back from our legal to the legal department at Ulji University. Then the legal approval has to come from both parties. Once both legal departments get to an agreement into how they're going to do it and how we're going to deliver everything, then that's how we do it. The important thing here is for us to determine who is going to be the point of contact for this program. We need to have a point of contact here and a point of contact over there with your partner. It's important for us to have that instead of you saying San Antonio College, because whenever an international phone call comes through, and if nobody knows who's in charge of the program, then we have problems. We have an inconvenience, and that might not create a good working environment between institutions, because they might feel like every time they call, nobody knows what they're talking about. And like right now, you call the operator at San Antonio College and you want to tell them that you want to talk to whoever is in charge of the Korean academic partnership, they might not know. They will find out, but that might take time before they can get to one of us. These are some of the conferences that we have over there with all the students. We invited local students, former students in Ulji. And this is one of the times that I mentioned that the faculty member were traveling to South Korea to cover the lecture part for everybody. And then out of this group, whoever was able to afford and come to the United States, they would come for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. So they will come with us. And the way that we also have this classes is by simultaneous translation. You can see me right there in the front, and you see Dr. Lee a little behind me translating everything that I'm saying. So that's a good way of doing without letting language limit or ability, or because there will always be somebody translating for us. Then the important matters happen once we develop the MOU and we determine what we're going to do and legal approves it. The next step is going to be for us to manage this MOU. And it's important to determine the students how and who is going to be handling student matters. Are they my students, your students, or our students? Ideally, it should be handled as our students, but there are some special needs from these international students that only the home institution will be able to handle, especially if you are receiving or working on a dual degree. So some special needs need to have, and they will always need to be in contact with the home institution. It is important, and we assume at the beginning that the students will kind of research and check, and we were waiting for them to get to San Antonio to give them an orientation. But with the student that decided to go back because she didn't get accustomed to the country, we changed that, and now the orientation takes place at the home institution. Either we do it here when we go to South Korea, and they do it over there when they send their students. Because believe it or not, whenever I take students, by the second week, they're craving hamburgers. They want pizza. They want American food. The first week is everything is new. Everybody wants to go and explore Korean food and Korean customs. The second week, it's just like, I want to go home. And that's one of the reasons that even Maria and Alicia sometimes come and they kind of talk. Maria has been on the phone with me in the middle of the night for her daytime. Maria had to talk to some students and trying to convince them to stay over there in South Korea for 1 more week because they wanted to come back. Over here, they're accustomed to be in a car. Every time that you go somewhere, you go in a car. Over there, we use public transportation everywhere that we go, and we walk and walk and walk. And during this orientation that I'm talking about, we tell students what to expect. But even then, it's never the same until they explore and they actually experience this changes. It's not the United States over there. Right? Even though it's nice, it's a beautiful country, but they still miss home. The tuition, this is what I was mentioning just a little while ago, that what works for us might not work for you necessarily. We have asked for students to pay the home institution and just to have a count of how many students. If I have 3 students this semester, then I try to send 3 students over there. But we're not at that point yet. But again, because of all of these circumstances that happen. But that in paper, it sounds good that our students will pay the home institution right now and then go abroad, and their students will pay over there and come over here. That's just to kind of make it a little bit attractive to students, and hopefully this will work. And I guess I will have more data later to let you know. As far as lodging, it is important for us to clarify in the MOU what is it that the partner institution wants for us or expect from us. Do we help the student find a place to stay? Are we responsible to stay with that student until they find a place? Or do they need to find a place even before they arrive? So whenever they arrive, we can go pick them up at the airport and take them to the site. That's important for us to determine all of this because we don't want to leave the student waiting at the airport or us waiting at the partner institution just to teach them without thinking that these students are going to be different from our local students. As far as the monitoring, we need to keep in touch with our students and find out, are they doing okay? Do they need anything? How is the food? How is the weather? Things like that. So they feel like we just not just send them abroad and we never check on them. So they need to have a way to contact us. And also we need to know that the time difference is it's going to be sometimes an inconvenience because like for us, it's 14 hours difference. It depends on your country, it depends on the country that you're going to manage with. The use of cell phones, the use of internet, it might be too expensive and they might need to be at school all the time to be able to access internet. So those are some of the things that we need to take care of and monitor all the time. And then also who is going to be the external examiners. We have, like I mentioned, the accrediting agencies. We needed to let them know what is it that we were planning to do for them to give us special permission to have these students here studying on a temporary basis and then going back, knowing that some of them are not going to get licensed in the United States. Some of the students might not want to get the license here because they just want to come and get hands-on experience and then go back. So all of this, depending on the program and depending on what you do, is going to be a kind of different. But as far as the ideas that we have done, this is that's why I wanted to show you, not only with the words, but I also wanted to show you pictures. This is our first student that came based on that dual degree. He received his degree, bachelor's in science and motorized science at ULGI, and he also received an associate of motorized science here at San Antonio College. So that's Dan. It is recommended for you to think about how often you're going to review that MOU. The recommendations that we have is that probably at the end of the first year, maybe every 2 years, so that will be okay. Just so you can have data and analyze that information and determine, yes, this is working. Now it's not working. We need to make some changes. We need to add this, or we thought that it was going to work and it didn't. So also consider students' performance, see if how the students are doing. And sometimes it's not necessarily just the language, but also the environment. For some students, it's difficult. I have some students that I have taken to South Korea that's the first time that they actually travel outside of Texas. Whenever I ask them, have you traveled? If you have traveled, please raise your hand. And they raise their hands like, where have you been? It's like Dallas, Houston, Corpus Christi. And like, okay. And some, they haven't even gone outside of San Antonio. So it's a big difference whenever they try to go and study abroad. So the student performance is a must in there. The partners continues to be appropriate. Maybe your partner decided to do something else, and because of those changes, it doesn't fit your needs anymore. And you also need to consider, do you continue, you modify, or you do a partial, or just decide to terminate. Now, if everything is working, then it's also a good time to review and to determine if you have the ability to make future commitments. I show you the 4 stages that we were in, and we kind of every so often it's not that we don't have anything to do, but we're always exploring and see what can we do, what can we do. Don't be surprised that you sign the memorandum of agreement and then whoever signs leaves the institution, and then you need to bring the new person up to date. That happened to us twice. In fact, Dr. Lee is the 3rd person that is now in charge of this relationship that we have. And sometimes it's challenging. And the second time that I went to South Korea with a group of students, and I called them and say, here we are. They were like, and who are you? I was like, oh, great. And so here we go. And trying to explain and showing documentation, identifying ourselves. So it was awkward, but we were able to kind of communicate back and forth. And finally, they were able to know who we are, and then we were welcome. Dr. Lee is now working there, and since she is from San Antonio as well, a graduate from San Antonio College, the relationship kind of, at least we think that it's going to be a lot better, because now she knows who we are, she knows what we're looking for, and we know them. So hopefully that will work out. I think I'm the only person in that from the original MOU that's still here and alive. So we're doing great, and we're planning to do more things. We're just waiting for this virus to go away. So hopefully we can process in the renewal of this or upgrading of this memorandum of understanding. This is just a copy of what we have signed, and this is the original, just the last page. And I just wanted to share this because we're proud of this. This was what's signed in October 12th, 2010. So, and you can see that's Chancellor Leslie, and he's not here anymore, but this is the original. So we need to upgrade, we need to make more changes. And I think Dr. Park still there, but it's in the process of retiring. So also we need to bring new individuals to work with us. And this is in a kind of nutshell, what has happened in the past 10 years of the relationship that we have between ULG University and San Antonio College with both motorized science programs. So I'm here ready to answer questions, and just so you let me know if there's any questions that I might answer for you. That's my information. I will be happy to answer your questions. And if there's something, if you're interested with ULG University, and I can get you in contact with Dr. Lee, but I didn't get a chance to get all the information for her here. But I'm local, I can answer your questions, and then we can transfer those if need be for that institution. If you're planning to have a different type of relationship with a different country, maybe I can help you in the process, but then you will have to also consult with the international office and district, so you can have more information there. Any questions? Any comments? Anything?
I have a comment. Hi, Dr. Moreno. This was a great presentation, and I want to congratulate you for being always, a champion with international. As you know, we are about to launch our first COIL initiative, and you're one of the founding professors. What are your, now that you have this strong partnership with EOG, are you thinking about using this partnership to do your COIL class in the future, or what are your thoughts?
Yes, this is one of the, in fact, that's one of the classes that I incorporated. The first class is going to be Psychology of Death and Dying, because that's the class that I have been teaching abroad. And since I'm going to be enrolled in this program, in the COIL program, I'm going to incorporate that class. That will be my main class. And then we will try to expand a little bit more. But for now, it's the same class that I teach abroad, the same class that I will be incorporating into the program.
That's awesome. And what motivates you for the faculty that is here, that they will see this video? What motivates you to be part of international, this picture of connecting students, connecting faculty? What's that motivator? I know you always welcome students in your house. You're always a champion, as I said before, but what's that motivation that you found critical for other faculty to take that advice from you?
My own story. Even though I was born in the United States, I was raised in Mexico, and I grew up over there. And I always say that I grew up in Mexico illegally because I did not have any documents when I was over there. So I went all the way until I was ready to get into the university. And it just happened that when they asked me for my documentation, I brought it, but it was in Mexican documentation. So I wasn't able to continue over there. So picture me coming back to the United States, being an American citizen, but I didn't speak the language. I was like, oh, minor details. I was like, okay, I'm Mexican, but I don't have papers to prove it. And I'm from the United States. I have papers to prove it, but I cannot say that I am from here. So I began with international education here, learning English as a second language. And my main colleagues, classmates at that time were international students that up to this date, I have a good relationship with them. We created a bond. And it's just like, it was really strong for us to connect. And since then, I have always been involved in international affairs, international activities. And as you mentioned, I'm a host parent as well for international students. So I've been doing this since 2005. And as of last year, with the last cohort that came over, I have 37 students that have passed through my house and stay at least one semester. Some of them stay 2 years. so it's like it's been, so that's why, and I don't know, like my my colleague, faculty members, every time an international student comes, no matter what type of, what country or what kind of language they speak, they send the student to me. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's like, oh, international, or they hear somebody with an accent, they send them to me. I was like, why are you here? Or they send me here. I was like, oh, okay. Then, so I really don't mind working with international students. I love the learning all the time, go back and forth and learning from each other's culture and how do you say this? During the summer, after I come back from Korea, I try to always do something on my own. I try to visit the students that have stay at home, and summer is my travel time. So I go from last year before the pandemic, I started in Brazil, then I jumped to Colombia, then I went to Chile, and then I went to Mexico. So kind of to visit the students. So it's important. It's very rewarding if you haven't been exposed to international relationships academically. Do it. I think I learn more than I can always teach. That's what motivates me.
Thank you. That was a beautiful answer. I was also illegal in Mexico like you. I came back when I was 15, so I understand. Yes, we have the same, very similar story.
There you go.
Dr. Moreno, thank you so much for putting this panel together. It's fascinating, and I feel that your interest and commitment for international education is tremendous. Same as a lot of faces that I see here that are also members of our international faculty committee. I have good news for you. I came in late because I was invited to an event in Mexico, of course, virtual event, but I was invited at their International Education Week from all the institutos tecnológicos. So there were about 200 representatives there from around, I would say 60 institutions, universidades tecnológicas. And they invited us to speak about our new strategies and the new programs. And there was commotion around COIL. Everybody wanted to do something in virtual exchanges. So I told them that we are offering to create like a summit, a virtual summit with different breakout rooms so we can introduce our faculty to their faculty and see if they want to COIL. So I think that is coming, and it's something that we would love to put together because there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of enthusiasm for putting these opportunities together. So this is on the oven right now, and we were talking about that, and there was a lot of interest, and of course a lot of, and they were asking me from which areas, and I refer to your program, Dr. Moreno, and I refer to other programs that are already, I think, registered for doing the COIL training, right? The virtual exchange training.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interest. Mariela, you and I, we need to talk about that because that's the next project. The next big one. It's coming our way, but I think that's going to be very good because they were explaining, well, where do we start? How do we do this? And I said, you need your faculty with you because they are the actual, and we were talking about how to keep them motivated. And you know, Mari, you were at the meeting with Valencia and all that. And I feel that we are headed in the right direction because this has to be a win-win for everyone. And so we're speaking already with HR and having good conversations about it. We need to convince a lot of different stakeholders, but it's virtual exchanges are the possibilities are endless. And we're very happy for that.
Good. Alicia was also asking here in the chat that how long do I think that it will take for future faculty members to create a partnership? I think the minimum commitment should be for at least 2 years. And the reason for that is because you need to have data and you need to allow students to come, and then we needed to evaluate the program and then determine, yeah, this is good, it's moving forward, so we need to do something else. Otherwise, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't matter. Like I might love to sing, but I can't. So same thing over here. I might want to have relationship with everybody, but if they don't want to have relationship with me, or there's not a match, then we might not be able to do it. So we need, but that should not be to discourage anybody. That should be just for us to prepare ourselves and to determine with them, it might not be okay, but I can do it over here. So it's just like when we began, it's like South Korea, and everybody's like, are you sure you want to go to South Korea? I was like, sure, let's go and see what happened. First time I went and the alarm went off and like, oh, I need to stay at the hotel for a while. But it worked, and that has been the only time. Other than that, I mean, citizens in South Korea are pretty much accustomed to everything, so it doesn't matter. We can just go back and forth, and we're okay. We go all the way to the border between South Korea and North Korea for them to experience everything, and because who knows? Just like I mentioned, some students haven't left Texas before. So whenever they go, I want for them to explore everything. And so, in some instances, Maria has told me like, slow down, given a day off, given time to rest. And yes, because, and that has been also evolving. The schedule of activities has been adapted every time that we go. So the students have a good experience, and also faculty members. Okay. Well, if you have any questions, or if I can be of any assistance in the future, by all means, you can always get in contact, and I will try to do whatever I can for you. And if I don't know how, I will refer you to Alejandra or Maria or Alicia, anybody there in the national office. They know all the answers.
Thank you, Dr. Moreno. And for any faculty that is interested in participating in one of the COIL programs, we have a session tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. If you're interested in joining us, you're welcome to attend that session. They'll be providing a little bit more information on that, that new initiative that we have. Okay, well, does anyone have any questions? Any other questions? Okay, Mariela is sharing the file with us in the chat for the COIL session for tomorrow. That gives you all the information there. Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Moreno, for doing this session with us this week. And I thank everyone for joining us this afternoon. If you have any questions, you can reach us. Alejandro Moreno is our executive director, and you can be reached at mrivera@alamo.edu. You can email us at any time. Alejandra, your email is bueno.
Yes, I'm gonna put it on the chat here.
Okay, and I'll put mine in there in case anyone is interested in working with us. We have partnerships in different locations. It doesn't have to be South Korea, but this is an example of how we can work with you. Okay. All right, well, thank you. And then Mariela Cadena is in the chat as well. She is the one of the contacts for the COIL program. Okay.
See you tomorrow, Mariela. Well, actually, see you later.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care.